Nairobi, the vibrant capital city of Kenya, is a bustling metropolis known for its diverse culture, rich history and bustling economy. As the largest city in Kenya and East Africa, Nairobi serves as a major financial, political, and cultural hub in the region and is governed by the following bylaws that came into effect in the year 2019. Nairobi City Bylaws. Bylaw Number 1. General Nuisance. Offenses. 1. Making noise on the streets. It is prohibited to create any kind of noise that disturbs the peace and quiet of the neighborhood. 2. Causing risks to users through destruction of a building or road. Any action that leads to the destruction of public property and poses a risk to pedestrians or drivers is not allowed. 3. Causing risks to users through inadequate fencing or unfenced land. Failing to properly secure land or leaving objects that may cause harm or obstruction to users is prohibited. 4. Destroying the surface of a public street. Damaging or defacing the surface of a public street is not permitted. 5. Willfully blocking a free passage or removing displacing council property. Blocking pathways or removing council property without permission is prohibited. 6. Cutting down a tree without a permit from the council. Removing trees without proper authorization is not allowed. 7. Playing any game riding or driving on a footpath. Using footpaths for activities other than walking is prohibited. 8. Defacing any building by writing signs or graffiti. Damaging or defacing buildings with unauthorized markings is not allowed. 9. Depositing any type of material or waste on the streets. Dumping waste or materials on the streets is prohibited. 10. Spitting on any footpath or blowing the nose aimlessly. Spitting or disposing of nasal mucus in public places is not permitted. 11. Committing any act contrary to public decency. Engaging in behavior that goes against public decency is prohibited. 12. Loitering, importuning, or attempting to procure a female or male for prostitution purposes. Soliciting or loitering for illegal activities is not allowed. 13. Defeating or urinating on a street or any other space. Public urination or defecation is prohibited. 14. Conveyance of open food in a manner likely to cause contamination. Carrying food in a way that could lead to contamination is not allowed. 15. Keeping any animal or poultry that causes a nuisance to any resident in the neighborhood. Owning animals that disturb the peace or safety of residents is prohibited. 16. Washing, repairing, or dismantling any vehicle in a prohibited area except in the case of emergency. Performing vehicle maintenance in unauthorized areas is not permitted. 17. Touting for passengers. Soliciting passengers for transportation services is prohibited. 18. Failure to observe traffic lights or zebra crossing. Disregarding traffic signals or pedestrian crossings is not allowed. 19. Driving or permitting to be driven in any overloaded vehicles such that its contents are spilling. Overloading vehicles beyond capacity is prohibited. 20. Allowing hedges and trees to encroach and pose a danger to traffic movement. Allowing vegetation to grow in a way that obstructs traffic is not permitted. Rules and regulations. 1. All tree hedges or other growth should be chopped, trimmed or removed. Vegetation should be maintained to prevent obstruction. 2. All meat and poultry for sale should be inspected. Food for sale should meet safety standards. 3. Every building should be painted at least once every year. Buildings should be maintained to keep them visually appealing and prevent deterioration. 4. A landlord should ensure that the frontage of a building is kept clean, in good condition and well repaired. Building owners are responsible for maintaining the appearance and safety of their property. 5. A building owner should ensure installation of security lights in the front of the building. Security lights should be installed to enhance safety and security. Bylaw number 2. Parking. Parking offenses. 1. Placing a signpost or reserving a parking space without authority from the council. Unauthorized reservation of parking spaces is prohibited. 2. Parking in a designated parking space without payment of fees. Parking without paying the required fees is not allowed. 3. Parking on a pavement or on council gardens. Parking on sidewalks or in garden areas designated for other purposes is prohibited. 4. Signaling, guiding, or directing a driver of a vehicle into or out of a parking place. Providing unauthorized assistance to drivers in parking is not allowed. 5. Using a parking space for advertising or business. Using parking spaces for commercial purposes or advertising is prohibited. 6. Interfering with writing or marking on a parking ticket. Tampering with parking tickets is not allowed. 7. Using a parking space for advertisement or business. Using parking spaces for commercial purposes or advertising is prohibited. 8. Damaging a vehicle clamp, removing or attempting to remove the same. Damaging or removing vehicle clamps is prohibited. 9. Obstructing an officer in enforcing these bylaws. Obstructing officers in the enforcement of parking regulations is not allowed. 10. Knocking down an electricity pole will lead to the owner paying for the restoration of the pole. Damaging an electricity pole requires the responsible party to cover the costs of restoration. Parking rules and regulations. 1. Non-payment of parking fees will lead to clamping and towing of the vehicle. Any vehicle clamp must pay clamping fees to the council. Vehicles parked without payment may be clamped or towed, and fees must be paid to release the vehicle. 2. Failure to pay towing fees and other expenses incurred by the council within 60 days may lead to disposal of the vehicle through public notice auction. Vehicles not claimed or paid for within 60 days may be disposed of through auction. 3. The parking ticket must be displayed on the front windscreen. Non-display will mean non-payment of the same. Parking tickets must be visibly displayed to indicate payment. 4. Parking attendants shall at all times wear a uniform, carry and have with them a proper identification badge issued by the council. Parking attendants must be identifiable and carry proper identification. 5. You need a council permit to run a commercial private parking place. Operating a commercial parking lot requires a permit from the council. 6. Vehicles must be parked within the space indicated by lines or any other mark provided by the council. Vehicles must be parked within designated parking spaces. 7. The council will not be responsible for damage or loss incurred during clamping or removal of the offending vehicle. The council is not liable for any damage or loss during enforcement actions. 8. Parking is free from 2:00 p.m. on Saturdays, the whole day Sundays, and public holidays. Free parking is available during specified times on Saturdays, Sundays and public holidays. Bylaw number 3. Solid waste management. 1. Regulation of waste management. The City Council is responsible for regulating waste and its management within the city. 2. Revocation of waste operator's permit. The Council may revoke or cancel a waste operator's permit for breaching given conditions. 3. Non-transferability of waste operator's permit. A waste operator's permit is not transferable without the consent of the Council. 4. Provision of waste disposal sites. The council must provide a place for disposing waste before it is transferred to a final disposal site. 5. Direction for collection charges. The council should issue directions for different collection charges at different places. 6. Inspection of premises. Any duly authorized officer may inspect residential dwellings or trade premises at any time. 7. Disturbance of waste disposal sites. Disturbing a waste disposal site or container approved by the council is prohibited. 8. Small-scale resource recovery. Organized groups will be given designated areas for small-scale resource recovery. 9. Handling of waste. Any person who produces, carries, keeps, treats, or disposes of waste, except domestic household waste, must do so through authorized persons. 10. Storage of daily domestic waste. Occupiers or tenants of any building or trade premises must have a suitable container with a good lid for keeping daily domestic waste. 11. Separation of recyclable waste. Occupiers and owners of domestic and trade premises must separate recyclable waste and place it in a different container provided or approved by the council. 12. Management of hazardous lineal waste. Premises owners or occupiers must ensure that hazardous or clinical waste is managed to the satisfaction of the council. 13. Prohibition of improper waste disposal. Burning, throwing away, etc. of waste in inappropriate places is an offense. Bylaw number 4. Fire Brigade. Fire offenses. 1. Unauthorized entry to burning premises. Entering any premises on fire without authorization from the senior officer is prohibited. 2. Interference with fire brigade. Obscuring, molesting, or interfering with any member of the fire brigade when on duty is not allowed. 3. False fire alarm. Giving a false fire alarm to the brigade is an offense. 4. Causing fire. Making or causing a fire without authorization is prohibited. 5. Obstruction of fire brigade. Denying entry or obstructing an officer from inspecting or obtaining information from any premise is not allowed. 6. Using premises without fire prevention clearance. Using premises without obtaining a fire prevention clearance certificate from the chief fire officer is prohibited. 7. Control of operations. The duty of the senior fire officer present at the scene of any fire is to control all operations. 8. Permit for automatic fire system. The chief fire officer may permit the owner or occupier of any building to connect an automatic fire system to the brigade premises. 9. Entry to premises on fire. The senior fire officer may enter or break into any premises within the city that appears to be on fire without consent from any person. 10. Temporary closure of streets. A senior officer may temporarily close any street, passage or thoroughfare in or near which a fire exists. 11. Use of water supplies. During a fire, a senior fire officer has the power to use any supply of water, whether on public or private property. 12. Removal of fire hazardous material. The council may instruct a person to remove any material that is likely to cause a fire. 13. Payment for firefighting services. Owners should pay for firefighting services, whether the owner requested attendance or not. 14. Fire safety inspections. The chief fire officer will inspect premises to ensure they comply with fire safety regulations. In case of fire: 1. Do not panic. 2. Sound the alarm, either the electronic alarm or shout fire. 3. Fight the fire if safe to do so. 4. Call the fire brigade on 222-2181 or 222-2182. Providing the correct physical address and contact information. 5. Evacuate using an acceptable route. 6. Close windows and doors behind you but do not lock doors. 7. Do not use lifts. 8. Proceed to the assembly point for a head count. 9. Do not re-enter until told to do so. Bylaw number 5. Hawking. 1. Permit application. Individuals can apply for a permit from the town clerk to conduct hawking, providing details of the goods and the location of the hawking activity. 2. Hawker's assistant permit. A permit may be issued to a person employed to assist the hawker, especially if they hawk refreshments and are physically disabled or have lost limbs. 3. Non-transferable permit. The permit cannot be transferred to another person. 4. Enforcement. Hawking without a valid permit or in an undesignated area may result in the impoundment of goods. 5. Identification badge. Each person engaged in hawking must wear a badge at a conspicuous place. 6. Inspection rights. Council officers have the right to inspect goods or articles being hawked, and obstructing an officer from performing this duty is an offense. Bylaw number 6. Matatu Terminus. 1. Parking permit application. Applications for parking permits should be made to the town clerk. The permit expires on December 31st of the year it is issued. 2. Display of permit. Parking permits must be conspicuously displayed on the Matatu to which it is issued. 3. Vehicle restrictions. Parking any vehicle other than a Matatu at a Matatu terminus is prohibited. 4. Non-transferable permit. The permit cannot be transferred to another vehicle. 5. Establishment of private Matatu terminus. A written authority from the town clerk is required to establish a private Matatu terminus. 6. Parking and stopping regulations. Matatus should only be parked at a Matatu terminus and may only stop to pick up or drop off passengers at designated bus stops. 7. Enforcement official oversight. All Matatus at terminuses should be under the direction of an enforcement official. 8. Speed limit. Vehicles should not drive more than 10 km per hour into the terminus. 9. Passenger importuning. Importuning for passengers on the streets or terminus is an offense. 10. Vehicle removal. A Matatu abandoned at the terminus without adhering to the bylaws may be removed by an enforcement officer. 11. Disposal of abandoned Matatu. If fees and expenses incurred in the removal of the Matatu are not paid within 60 days, the council may dispose of it to cover outstanding fees and expenses. 12. Passenger queue. 6 or more persons waiting to enter a Matatu at a terminus or designated stopping place must form a queue. 13. Hawking prohibition. Hawking of goods at a Matatu terminus without a permit from the council is illegal. Rules for behavior in a Matatu terminus. 1. No obstruction of individuals entering or alighting from a Matatu. 2. No entry into the Matatu through any means other than the door. 3. No obstruction of conductors or drivers from performing their duties. 4. No disorderly behavior. 5. No coronation in public places. 6. No interference or molestation of anyone. 7. No use of verbal disturbance or abusive language. 8. No littering or spitting. 9. No damaging of council equipment. Bylaw number 7. Food shops and stores. 1. Application for a permit to operate a food shop or store must be made to the town clerk, providing sufficient details about the shop. 2. The permit expires on December 31st of the year it is issued. 3. The town clerk shall not issue a new permit if the applicant is not a city resident or if the shop does not comply with council bylaws. 4. Anyone working in a food shop or store must possess a valid medical certificate. 5. Trading in food without an appropriate license or permit is prohibited. 6. Health inspectors have the right to inspect registered food shops or stores at any time, and obstructing them is an offense. 7. The council is responsible for regulating waste and its management within the city. Bylaw number 8. Licensing of premises and trades. 1. Engaging in any business within the council's jurisdiction requires premises to be permitted for that purpose. 2. Business permits will not be issued for businesses in buildings with outstanding land and ground rent. 3. The council may issue or refuse permits, and a permit fee must be paid. 4. Permits are subject to conditions set by the council and must be observed. 5. A certificate for proof of payment of rates to the council is required for a single business permit. 6. Fees and charges for various activities and services are levied by the council. 7. All persons carrying out business must obtain a business permit by March 31st of the current trading year. 8. Specific regulations apply to kiosk businesses and cyber cafes regarding overnight stays and computer monitor limits. Bylaw number 9. Taxi cab. 1. Applications for taxi cab permits must be submitted to the town clerk at least a month before the intended start date. 2. The town clerk issues permits for taxi cabs and drivers, including a badge and photograph. 3. Taxi cab drivers must wear a prescribed uniform while on duty. 4. Permits may be refused or cancelled if the applicant is not a Kenyan citizen, is bankrupt or fails to meet the requirements. 5. Taxi cab drivers' licenses are not issued to individuals with convictions under the Traffic Act. 6. Permits cannot be transferred to vehicles other than those specified in the original application. 7. Refunds for surrendered permits are provided if done before June 30th of any year. 8. Taxi cab owners must take their vehicles for inspections every 3 months. 9. Every taxi cab must be equipped with a council-approved taxi meter. 10. Taxi meters and fittings must be sealed to prevent tampering. 11. Taxi drivers must behave civilly, ensuring the safety of all passengers. 12. The council designates taxi ranks, and parking in these areas without a taxi is prohibited. Bylaw number 10. Restaurant, eating house and snack bar. 1. Applications for new permits or licenses must be submitted to the town clerk at least 30 days before the trading period begins. The permit expires on December 31st of the year it is issued. 2. In the event of the death, bankruptcy, or unsoundness of mind of a permit holder, the business may continue without transfer of the permit, subject to approval by the town clerk. 3. The restaurant kitchen design structure must be approved by the City Council. 4. Adequate refrigeration must be provided for the maintenance of stored food. 5. Every employee in the premise should keep clean, refrain from spitting and smoking while cooking, and cover any cuts or bruises with a clean, waterproof dressing. 6. The permit holder must maintain the premises to the satisfaction of the customers. 7. Using a permit that does not correspond to the premises is an offense. 8. Council officers have the right to inspect premises, and obstructing them is an offense. 9. The permit should be placed in a conspicuous position in the premises. 10. Indecent behavior is not allowed on the premises. 11. The sale of any food that is not sound or wholesome is prohibited. 12. Open-air eating places must operate under specific requirements approved by the Council. Bylaw number 11. Public lavatories. 1. A permit for operation is issued by the town clerk upon payment of suggested fees as gazetted by the City Council. 2. The Council may partner with any person to provide public lavatory services at an agreed fee or enter into a lease agreement for the management of public conveniences. 3. The agreement shall be reviewed every 3 years and may include conditions such as paying utility bills and fees to the Council. 4. The person managing a convenience must keep it clean and hygienic. 5. Users must pay any fee charged for using the convenience. 6. Users must not willfully annoy or interfere with the privacy of others. 7. Users must not willfully and improperly soil any part of the convenience. 8. Users must not write on, mark or damage any part of the convenience. 9. Interfering with authorized personnel or officers is prohibited. 10. The disposal of liquid waste from a mobile toilet must be hygienic and is directed by the Council. Bylaw number 12. Hamali carts and handarts. In public streets. 1. The City Council of Nairobi has the authority to control the traffic of hamali carts in the streets. 2. Anyone authorized by the Council to propel a hamali or handart must observe all traffic rules and these bylaws. 3. Using a hamali or handart in contravention of the Gazette schedule is an offense. Bylaw number 13. Medical facilities. 1. No person within a city shall operate a maternity home, nursing home, or other medical facility without a valid permit granted by the Council. 2. A permit expires on December 31st of the year issued and is not transferable. 3. Applications for a permit should include the applicant's name, address and occupation, description of the premises, location of patients and number and qualifications of proposed employees. 4. Renewal of permits should be applied for on or before October 15 each year. 5. The medical officer of health may enter and inspect the premises at any time. 6. Medical facilities must provide rooms for use as a mortuary or incinerator. 7. The permit holder must not accommodate more people than indicated in the permit and must maintain the premises to the Council's satisfaction. 8. Records must be kept of all persons received, operations carried out, miscarriages and children born on the premises. Bylaw number 14. Sale of ice cream. 1. Ice cream cannot be sold within the city unless manufactured in accordance with the Bylaws. 2. Ice cream must be protected from contamination during storage, distribution and sale. 3. Permits for the sale of ice cream should be obtained from the town clerk and expire on December 31st of the year issued. 4. Permits are not transferable to other premises. 5. Inspections may be conducted at any time by the medical officer of health or public health officer. 6. Permit holders must maintain cleanliness of premises, utensils and vessels, and must not employ persons with infectious diseases without notifying the medical officer of health. Bylaw number 15. Private schools. 1. To establish a private school, an application must be made to the town clerk, including the applicant's name, address, occupation, description of the premises, number of employees, and number of students. 2. Permits expire on December 31st of the year issued. 3. Permits are not transferable without the council's consent. 4. The premises must be maintained in good condition to the council's satisfaction. 5. The number of employees must always meet the specifications in the permit. 6. The medical officer of health may inspect permitted premises at any reasonable time. 7. Fees for permits, renewals, or transfers are as gazetted in the latest council fee charges. Bylaw number 16. Conservancy. 1. Occupiers of premises connected to the water company's sewerage system must pay a fee of Kenya shillings 14.20 per litre per month. 2. Occupiers of premises with wastewater pits or conservancy tanks, other than residences, must pay Kenya shillings 3,000 in advance for each emptying of the tank. 3. Occupiers of residences with wastewater pits or conservancy tanks must pay Kenya shillings 3,000 per month for regular emptying. 4. Occupiers of premises with septic tanks must pay Kenya shillings 3,000 in advance for each emptying of the tank. 5. Premises unoccupied for at least 30 days may receive a refund or allowance for fees charged during the period. 6. Private exhauster services may be licensed to supplement the water company. 7. All waste discharged into the network must comply with the company's discharge guidelines. 8. Anyone who has agreed to pay for water supply will be considered the premises occupier. County dues. 1. Observe traffic lights or zebra crossing. Follow traffic regulations for safety. 2. Park on designated areas only. Park vehicles in designated parking spaces to avoid obstruction. 3. Throw all waste in places approved by the council. Dispose of waste responsibly to maintain cleanliness. 4. Obtain an appropriate license or permit before operating a food shop. Ensure legal compliance for food safety. 5. Take the taxi app for inspection every 3 months. Maintain taxis in roadworthy condition for passenger safety. 6. Observe hygiene rules and standards when operating any eating place. Maintain cleanliness in food handling areas to prevent contamination. 7. Obtain a valid medical license before handling food for sale. Ensure that food handlers are healthy and fit for the job. 8. Pay for a single business permit for running business in the city. Fulfill legal requirements for operating a business. 9. Display your single business permit in a conspicuous position. Make the permit visible for compliance verification. 10. Pay for parking ticket and display it on the windscreen of the car. Follow parking regulations and pay parking fees to avoid penalties. County don'ts. 1. Making any kind of noise on the streets. Respect noise regulations to maintain peace. 2. Touting for passengers. Do not solicit passengers illegally. 3. Guiding or directing a driver of a vehicle into or out of a parking space. Leave parking management to authorized personnel. 4. Making or causing a fire. Avoid causing fires to prevent damage and harm. 5. Disturbing a council waste disposal site or container. Respect waste disposal areas to prevent pollution. 6. Burning of waste. Burning waste can release harmful pollutants into the air. 7. Hawking in undesignated area. Sell goods only in authorized locations. 8. Bargaining or buying from a hawker in an undesignated area. Avoid illegal transactions and support authorized vendors. 9. Parking of any vehicle other than a Matatu at a Matatu terminus. Reserve Matatu Terminus for Matatus only. 10. Obstructing a person from entering or alighting from a Matatu. Allow passengers to enter or exit vehicles freely. 11. Selling unsafe food. Ensure food safety standards are met to protect consumers. 12. Construct excesses without authority. Obtain proper authorization for construction projects. 13. Discharge of water from premises. Manage water discharge properly to avoid flooding and pollution. 14. Carrying out car washing activities on the road reserve. Avoid obstructing traffic and polluting waterways. 15. Cut a tree without council's authority. Preserve greenery and seek permission for tree removal. 16. Steal or destroy manhole covers or street lights. Vandalism is illegal and compromises public safety. 17. Park drive on a pavement. Keep pavements clear for pedestrians. 18. Start construction without council authority. Obtain proper permits before starting construction projects. These guidelines are important for maintaining order, safety and cleanliness in the county.